Hello, and welcome to Happy Horror Time. My name's Tim Murdoch.
And my name is Matt Emmert. Today's special guest is known for her role as Vicky in Friday the 13th Part 2, the sweet counselor who had an innocent crush and wasn't afraid of toking a joint. And let's not forget the most controversial part of that film, Vicky's brown underwear. She also played Sheila in 1982's college slasher Girls' Nite Out, but unfortunately made the fatal mistake of trusting someone in a bear suit. Please welcome to the podcast, Lauren Marie Taylor.
Thank you, guys. Yay.
Hi, we're so happy to have you.
Oh, you guys are great. Thanks for having me on. We organized this so long ago. I think back in March.
Yes.
We talked about doing this. And then, thank God you sent me a message because I hate to admit this. I totally forgot. I'm going to be completely transparent.
You forgot about Happy Horror Time?
I forget. So what I did is I resent myself the Zoom link because, you get a million emails.
Yeah.
And I resent it to myself this time. But that's why I made such a big fuss when you messaged me. I was like, oh, yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
No, we're so grateful that you agreed to be on this. We're big fans. And, we read that you grew up in the Bronx and did musicals at a young age, and that it was Ali Sheedy's manager who got you started in commercials after seeing you in Oklahoma with her. So we have to ask, how did that all happen? And what was it like doing Oklahoma with Ali Sheedy?
Well, it was before Ali Sheedy was Ali Sheedy, of course.
Yes.
I just knew her from doing the plays at my brother's school. She was my brother's high school girlfriend. They were together for quite some time. So we knew each other very well. We used to make believe, I never told anybody this, but we used to, I had an old, well, now it's old, but back then it was a spanking new Minolta camera. And I had a tripod. And we would go to Central Park and I would have black and white film in the camera. And we would put the camera on timer. And we would take pictures of ourselves making believe we were top models for 17 magazine and stuff.
That's do you have those pictures?
I probably do somewhere in my attic. Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my God. I'd love to see them in Oklahoma because I did Oklahoma. I had 3 lines. I played Joe. Which part did you play in Oklahoma?
I played Ado Annie.
I knew it. I told Matt, I was like, if she said she was the comic relief, she's got to be that role.
So is this the performance? You said that her manager was attending the show and saw you in it and approached you. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. So Allie played the, unfortunate romantic lead, Laura, the innocent one. And I'm the body one who sings a song called I'm Just the Girl Who Can't Say No. How appropriate, right? So afterwards, Allie says, oh, my manager wants you to meet her. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I made, hi, how are you? Blah. And she goes, have you ever thought about doing TV commercials? And I was like, no, I want to be a veterinarian when I grow up. And she goes, well, it's a great way for you to make money for college. And I was like, I didn't know anything about it. Nothing. I knew Allie did it, but I really had no interest in doing TV commercials. So she goes, well, think about it. Here's my number. Give me a call, next week. So I called her the following week. Why not? We went in for a meeting. And a couple months later, not even a couple months, I had a 3-year contract to do all the Burger King on camera and jingle commercials.
I was just about to ask you, you did Burger King commercials for 3 years.
Yeah.
Did they? Okay, we got to know, did you get free food for 3 years?
I was a vegetarian. I still am.
No way. So wait, did you, but did they offer it? That's the most important question.
No, they did. In fact, they were really sticky about it because it was all TV food. So they take the ketchup and they paint it on it. So it's picture perfect. So it was like, do not touch the food. You don't know what's for camera and what's not. And I was a counter girl anyway, so I never got to eat it.
Did you do, I know that Leah Thompson and who was the other one? Elizabeth Shue and Sarah Michelle Gellar. Were you part of their Burger King years or did they do Burger King?
I was before them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm a little older than they are.
You're like, way to date her, Tim. No, wait.
I thought you were all the same age.
Random on the spot question. Do you remember any of those jingles that you did for Burger King?
Oh, it was always who's got the best darn burger in the whole wide world.
Oh my God, they need to bring you back. You're like, who's still got the best darn burger?
That I don't eat. Well, the other
who needs to get a vegetarian burger at Burger King? Actually, they might have one. I'm not sure. We should.
Yeah,
check
they probably do. But here's the funny thing. We talked going back to Ado Annie in Oklahoma. So when I was a young actress, it was really heavily influenced by the very first Broadway show I saw was A Chorus Line. And I'm so obsessed with that show still that our local high school, not our local high school, the high school a couple of counties over is doing it. And I'm going to go and see it next weekend because they have an excellent theater department. It's called St. Joseph's Regional. It's in New Jersey. I'm in New York.
I always think it's so interesting when high school kids do a chorus line because it's not like they've experienced anything. So they're singing like all these things like I hope I get this job. Well, you're
15. Yeah.
But you know what? This program is so good. They get, it's an all boys school, but they get the girls who are in private schools, Catholic schools, public schools. So they get the best of the best because they're the kind of theater department that wins the high school Tony Award.
Oh, the thespian.
They did Tommy for crying out loud. They got an award for that. So when they put on a show, it is so top notch. It's really unbelievable. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Now I forgot what I was going to say about. Oh, that's what it was. So I always wanted to do musical theater. When I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do, right? I was obsessed with musical theater. So fast forward a few years, right after Friday the 13th, I had an audition for Merrily We Roll Along, I believe. It was it was one of the Sondheim Halprints things. Maybe it was Do Patent Leather Shoes Reflect Up. But anyway, I was on my fourth callback, and for the third callback, I sang that song. I'm just a girl who can't say no, and I forgot my lyrics.
I'm just a girl who can't say.
Oh, but I was so good at improvisation back then that I just started making it up. Like, I can't, something to the effect of, I can't forget, I forgot my lyrics in front of Stephen Sondheim,
That's great. You should have thrown in, and who's got the best darn burger?
But then I got to the final callback and I had lost my voice because I was dubbing in, I won't say which one, but I was dubbing in screams for one of the Halloween movies. And I had I couldn't sing. And the guy, he looked at me and goes, if you're going to do musical theater, you cannot dub in horror movies as a side gig. I said, note taken. And I didn't get it, but that's okay. I think it opened and closed in like 3 days.
Wait, I have to ask if you remember, since I'm obsessed with the Halloween movies. Do you remember which movie it was that they dubbed your scream in? You can't say?
Her lips are sealed.
Oh, no, Lauren, you're breaking my heart. It's okay. Can you tell me, is it lower than 5?
Yeah.
Okay, lower than 3?
I don't know.
Okay, no, I want to ask. Well, but one question we ask everyone to start things off is that growing up, were you a fan of horror movies? And if so, were there any that just made like a big impact on you from a young age?
Well, I was raised by my maternal grandparents and, very Catholic household. So everything was off limits, right? But the one thing they did let us watch, was Creature Feature and Schiller Theater. Which was on Friday and Saturday night, respectively. So I grew up watching all the Frankenstein movies, the Godzilla, which is kind of a horror movie when you're a little kid. It's like, big beast is going to come and eat me up. All the, Bela Lugosi, Abbott and Costello in the open house, haunted houses. So those really influenced me. But in terms of going to a movie theater experience and seeing a horror movie in a movie theater, that would have been Jaws, because I wasn't allowed to go see The Exorcist because of, Catholic upbringing. The thing Linda Blair does with crucifixes in that movie is really just sacrilegious. So I consider Jaws a horror movie because I never went into the water again. I was
not
so
alone.
Scared of sharks. I wouldn't even take a bath. I'm like, I'm never taking a bath again either because the shark. My brother would be like, that shark is going to come up through the drain. It's going to pull you and suck you in. I'm like, oh my God.
That's amazing. Yeah,
that was creepy.
We all have those movies that like we always remember as a young kid. So
what do you have? Which one is yours?
Well, I mean, the very first horror movie I remember seeing was Stephen King's Silver Bullet. I was like 8 or 9 years old, but the first one that made a huge impact on me, big surprise, because it's still my favorite of all time, is the original Halloween. I saw it at age 11. It just was so terrifying, and the music, everything. I mean, I've told this on the podcast guess I'm sure our listeners are like, enough already.
I mean, I guess the one that actually gave me nightmares, they showed Psycho 2 like on NBC. It was like 1983 or something. Or 4, I can't remember, but Psycho 2 definitely in the basement, and they showed the mom, but it wasn't the mom. She was like dressing up as the mom to scare Norman. I don't know. It affected my brain.
So now Tim dresses up as his mom all the time.
No, Psycho's a good one. The original Psycho. Even to this day, when I go into a hotel room, I check under the bed. I go into the shower to see if anybody's behind the shower curtain. I lock the door of the bathroom when I'm taking a shower.
Yeah,
really
smart.
That is smart. That is smart. So, moving on to 1981's Friday the 13th Part 2, what was the audition process like for the role of Vicky? And when you were auditioning, did you read for any other roles?
No, I didn't read for any other role. A lot of the casting directors in New York knew me from TV commercials because I just did hundreds and hundreds of TV commercials. And a lot of the casting directors, just like a lot of the commercial camera directors, went on to make movies. So a lot of the casting directors for commercials went on to cast movies. And one of them remembered me. The part came up, the movie comes across her desk. She's tasked with casting the movie. And it was, sweet all-American girl. Of course, so the pool was much smaller back then in New York. And you didn't have thousands and thousands of actresses vying for the same role. It was pretty much a tighter knit community. So I came across it and, I'd like to see this person from your agency. So our agent sends us over. Hey, how you doing, blah. I read for it and I got it. I mean, it was not a long, drawn-out process. I didn't try out for any other role in the movie. It was just the all-American girl. So I was not sexy, so I didn't have
I beg to differ. Did they make you... a lot of people we talk to about their auditions for some of these horror movies, they don't even need to read lines so much. They just ask them to like scream and be scared. Do you remember what you had to do? I know it's a long time ago.
It's so, Bill Randolph would know because he remembers everything, including the price of his underwear in 1981. I just, I'm so bad. I mean, I would like to say they asked me to scream, but I don't know. I know Girls' Night Out, they asked me to scream. And I was like, go see Friday the 13th Part 2. No,
you're like, hey, can you just see my...
I got a reel. It's on the screen.
Yeah.
Come on.
And once you got the role, did you do anything specific to prepare?
No, I just channeled my inner insecure, not sexy time girl to bring that out in Vicky, because if you watch the movie, you can tell that she's trying to imitate the Sandra character a couple of times. The whole leaning over and trying to give goo eyes. You can tell she's probably never smoked pot a whole lot because I never smoked pot.
I haven't either. You're not alone.
Thank you. But I figured here I am talking. I never smoked pot.
I've never smoked pot.
I think she was before we pushed record.
Well, back then, of course, it was more taboo. Now it's like, you're it's not
legal, right?
It's not that impressive. Well, in certain states, yeah.
Yeah, it's legal in New York now. Yeah. So yeah, that was my whole gig about preparing for it was, not to make her so one-dimensional, but just to have her be awkward without being obviously awkward. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course.
And innocent, but still trying something new. Because I think
it's such a cute cast. Like no one comes across as awkward, but I mean, like, I guess it's awkward because your situation's different than everyone else's because you're hitting on a guy. Like that's always awkward.
Well, it's funny because you can tell she's really into him and really trying to put herself out there, but it's cute. It's like young love and how there's always one person that's kind of more of the pursuer and then there's one person who's more of the pursuee. It was just a little more obvious in your dynamic with Tom McBride. Yeah. But, one thing we wanted to ask you about, we've heard you mention that after being cast, you and your co-stars all watched the original Friday the 13th together. So this is what I've got to ask. Were you at all confused as to how they were making a sequel to a movie where the killer, Mrs. Voorhees, was killed and her son, Jason, had drowned?
Well, but don't forget, at the end of part 1, and I know this is not a spoiler because anybody's listening to this probably has seen all of them, he does come out of the water. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I was like, oh, of course, he exists. And the name of our movie was not Friday the 13th Part 2. It was called Jason. So we were clued in that way that, okay, they obviously made sure he survived, being a water person, I don't know how, with skin falling off his face. And yeah, and the movie was about his killing spree, avenging his mother. So it made sense. It did make sense to us. Yeah, at least to me. I don't know. But I thought it was a snuff film. I was like, do they really kill you?
And what was it like working and living and doing the movie all on the camp? I mean, like you obviously stayed at the camp and like,
you were rooming with co-stars, right? Like multiple of the girls were in a cabin, right? What was it like filming?
Like Kirsten Baker. I mean, you know what? The great thing is that it really made us a very tight unit because we all only had each other to goof around with. So it made our little group pretty tight. You know, like Kirsten and Marta and I and they call them extras, but the counselors who didn't have any lines, you know, they were also staying at the camp. So all of us were pretty, you know, tight, you know, and it's so funny. You know, so anyway, so there was a lot of camaraderie. I was talking to Felissa Rose about her experience on sleepaway camp, and she said that they put her up in a hotel.
What?
Are you friggin' kidding me? You guys didn't stay at the camp, and we were all in Germany together. It was Catherine, you know, Meg.
Yes, Catherine Connie. We love. Yeah, we've had both of them on the show. They're both great, amazing.
They're
people.
great.
Yeah.
We were in Germany together with Bill Randolph and Tommy McLaughlin, who directed
Part 6.
Part
Jason
6.
Lives. Yeah.
And Judy Aronson was there too.
Part 4, the final chapter.
Talking about staying in hotels, you know, and we're like, Bill and I are like, wait a minute, you guys got to stay in a hotel? And Felissa just said, yeah. And so, of course, we were the schmucks who stayed at the camp, it was crazy. It was creepy, but it added to the whole feeling of being in a horror movie because we were living it every day at a camp.
It feels like that's the best way to get that authentic experience. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like it's method without being method. You know what I mean? Like it's
exactly. That's exactly the point.
Yeah.
Did you see the following films? Like, did you see Sleepaway Camp and like Friday 13th after yours?
I saw Sleepaway Camp, but I hadn't really seen any of the other Friday the 13th.
So when they came out, you were just like, listen, I'm on Loving. I don't have time.
Well, it is true. I mean, when you're on a soap opera, you're just, you know, in the trenches, you know, it's like, you know, cramming for a final exam every single day. You have to be on set because, you know, you're shooting a show a day. Yeah. And you're getting a script a day.
This is a horror-focused podcast, but I have to say, I grew up in a General Hospital household. I'm a huge soap fan. Today I watched The Bold and the Beautiful. But 2 quick questions for you about soaps. What is your trick to learning a lot of dialogue? Because you were on the beginning to the end of the show. You were on the whole run of Loving. And what was it like working with all like the fun cast? Because like the people that came through your show were like Luke Perry, Rebecca Gayheart, Julie Bowen, Elise Neal. Like you had a lot of people come through Loving.
Bryan Cranston was my brother.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, my husband used to call me the company girl because I got along with everybody. Different personalities, different egos, different quirkinesses. Some of them could memorize their lines very easily. Some of them you kind of would have to just, you know, prompt them a little bit by doing a little bit of improvisation. You know, like, let's say the guy's line was, oh, she got hit by a car, which, you know, you're never going to forget. You know, if the other guy forgets that that's his line, you say, did she get hit by a car?
You give him the prompt, yeah.
And last question about soaps, I swear. So who do you find more like, more passionate, I should say, about soaps? I mean, like, is it soaps or horror films that people are more like, Lauren Marie Taylor?
Oh, like the fans. Yeah. Which fans? The horror fans or the soap fans are more, I guess, loyal or passionate? Yeah.
Well, the soap opera fans are different because when you're on TV, my husband used to say it too. He's like, you're in their living rooms every single day. And then you just pop into the store and there you are waiting online just like they are. He used to say that he could open up an airplane door, push me out, you know, with a parachute, of course, and somebody on the ground would know who I was because I'm in the living room every single day. So back then, for those 13 years, it was all about the soap opera. I mean, when I would do appearances, because ABC Network would organize those appearances, as opposed to horror conventions where they contact your convention agent. So they would basically say to you, they wouldn't say, "Oh, do you want to go to, Monster Mania, or let's say London Comic Con," because they do TV people there too. The ABC would say, "You're going to London Comic Con on these days." It's like, you're doing this, not would you like to, but you're doing it. You're contractually obligated to do it. Okay, except when you're very pregnant, then they let you off the hook. So during that time, the excitement was, "Oh my God, it's Stacey." Stacey Donovan. Oh my God, oh my God. And now that's way behind me. I call it my previous life. And the movies have gained just such a fandom of all generations, and the convention circuit. Now, of course, with social media, if I'm walking through Walmart and I've got, any kind of convention type of t-shirt on, or a horror t-shirt, or what have you, people kind of, who you look a lot like? And I go, "Who?" And they'll tell me. I go, "Oh yeah, that's me."
Oh.
And they'll be like, "Are you sure?" I go, "Okay, go on Instagram, look up Laura Marie Taylor one," and then they go, "Oh shit!" And they'll see all those pictures, of conventions, and then some of the behind the scenes stuff that I post and whatnot, and just general fun stuff. So that's become a big deal. And I gotta say, the horror community, they are just so amazing. You're right. They are so loyal. They love your franchise. They love your character, and they're so nice.
Yeah, I mean, we are part of that community because we go to these conventions. I mean, obviously, you're like, I was like, obviously, we can say that now. She's complimented the community, but yeah, I mean, you stick with these movies for over 40 years, and you're still waiting. But it's because these franchises keep living on, whether it's through TV, being made into TV shows or legacy sequels or something. But I do want to take you back to Friday the 13th Part 2. I know we did a little quick soap detour. No, it's okay. It's okay. We do want to take a moment to mention the late Tom McBride, who played your crush, Mark, who you share the most scenes with. Now, his character happens to be in the wheelchair. And although we love this from a representation standpoint, it also kind of felt like such a random choice for someone in this kind of movie. And then to kill him off and have him like rolling down a flight of stairs in his wheelchair just felt so evil. I was wondering, do you remember if the script always had the character of Mark in a wheelchair? And what did you think of how they did always have it?
Yeah, they did.
And what were your thoughts on his death scene, how they killed him?
I thought it was brutal. I mean, obviously it wasn't him or a stunt person. It was, a fake him with a fake head that they did a wonderful job with. But it's just the ultimate vulnerability, like with Kirsten Baker, coming out of the water and having to look for her clothes and then going back all soaky wet, Sandra and Jeff in the bed being impaled. It's like this took you at your most vulnerable moments. And that takes the cake in terms of the wheelchair, because you can't run even if you want to run, and I think his death is the most, even though they have the lightning and you don't really see it happening, it's just brutal. I think it's the most brutal.
It is a jarring death, because they make like a sound like, and it's like,
and but you know what? The way you just described that, I've never thought of that, but you're 100% right. Every character, I can't believe we never thought about this. It's their most vulnerable state. The lovers, it's while they're making love or right after. The person in the wheelchair, he gets thrown downstairs. The girl that goes for a naked swim, it's right after she has to go searching for her clothes. You're totally right. That makes a lot of sense now.
I don't know if I'd ever go swimming naked by myself.
He does it all the time.
I do all the time. And we heard that you had a crush on Tom McBride.
Yeah, I did. I mean, we knew each other to be totally truth driven here. We knew each other from the commercial circuit, from auditioning for commercials together. And it was so funny because I would, obviously you're young, you're flirtatious, what have you. And I would openly flirt with him. And finally, one day he said to me, he goes, "Lauren, how long have we known each other?" And I said, I know, but it's fun to flirt with you.
Wait, so is that how he came out to you?
No, I don't know how it happened.
Yeah, how did he break the news? Because, back then, I mean, I am fascinated by the history of like gay men in television and movies because they were all like, I'm closeted, don't tell. And so I'm sure you as an actress have come across people on your soap or in films like please don't tell. Like, did you ever have to keep secrets?
I never came across the please don't tell stuff.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
never.
awesome.
Maybe it's a New York thing.
You just don't care.
know. Yeah, but with Tom, we auditioned for, I remember we auditioned for a Noxzema commercial, and of course, I had to do, this to him. And a guy who's straight would probably be like trying to flirt afterwards, like, hey, you want to go have lunch or something like that? Because that had happened in the past years ago, long before I was married and everything. But Tom didn't do that. He didn't do that. And I went, and I mean, I was a very flirtatious teenager, and he did not reciprocate. And I was like, gotcha.
Oh, so there was no like official coming out moment. It was just kind of a known thing between you guys that he was gay. He never was just like, Lauren, I got to tell you something.
No. He was like, Lauren, come on. And I said, I know, a girl can try, come on.
And then do you remember, and I guess we have more as gay men ourselves, like we're very fascinated in this kind of thing, especially because it's a time that we weren't around and like, back in 1981, there weren't a lot of, especially working actors that would be upfront about that. Do you remember if Tom's sexuality ever became an issue during the filming of Friday the 13th Part 2, or was everyone accepting? And
no,
did everyone just know and not care? Everyone was just like,
yeah. Well, he wasn't the only one.
Yes.
I mean, there were, he wasn't.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, that's the kind of thing, I guess it's like you feel more. I mean, I can't even speak for people back then because, I know it's gotten easier. And now even seeing kids today, now it's like nothing. Now it's like being gay is like a selling point. Like, you're like, hey, so adding diversity.
I graduated from high school in 1996, but even in 1996, it was so taboo. Like today, when I talk to my friends that have kids, they're like, it's so like, anyway.
Like, oh, they're bi, they're gay, they're they.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. So random question for you, because, and you mentioned this, and this is something we've always wondered. So Part 2 is one of the only films in the series where there's a ton of other counselors in your group that are basically just extras. They're not like featured people. And of course they get saved because they go to the bar that night. And I think you kind of touched on this, but did you get to know any of those people that aren't the featured people? And because you actually see them a bunch throughout the film. They just don't get any lines.
Yeah. It's interesting. It was a different world back then for sure. I mean, no union rep came to set or anything like that. But yeah, we all hung out together. In fact, one of the other guys, we had the same agent. So I'd already known him for a while. I mean, it was weird because you had us and we had lines and we were in the scenes without them when they go to the bar. So we were all tighter. But overall, when it came to the daytime stuff and like the dinner hour type of thing, the campfire type of thing, because we were together for a couple of weeks, we all just became very friendly. There was a lot of goofing around. It was fun. But then they left, and that's when the killing spree began.
Yeah.
So they only had them. I think there were 6 extra people. I think it was 6 extra people. They were only there for the first couple of weeks of filming, if even a couple of weeks, maybe just the first week when. We had all those scenes together. But yeah, once everybody goes to the bar, that group went away for a while, and never, obviously, because of the background, people never came back. I'm complicating this too much.
No. Because we always thought, what happened to those people? I want to know. I hope they're getting residual checks for the campfire scene because they are in that scene. No? Oh, because you. Oh no.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, I mean, like extras, background people, they don't get anything. Even if they're a featured background person, they get no residuals.
No, you don't. You don't get residuals for background work. But I'll tell you something. Even us, we see maybe $100 gross a year from Friday the 13th.
Really?
That's so mind-boggling.
My God, that's
the time.
Nuts. Well, but you know what? But like they at least get to say they were in a Friday the 13th movie, and that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. I mean, I know of people who are just murder victims in some of the newer movies, and they go to conventions as victim number 3. And you're like, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. Well, I mean, look at the Jasons. They don't have any lines. They don't have any dialogue. They grunt.
But they're very popular. Very popular.
Yeah, you go to a convention. Warrington's Gillette, his line is a mile long.
Yeah.
Warrington, you didn't say anything. You just had to look really ugly.
That's funny. So moving on to your infamous brown underwear scene, which I know everyone asks you about, so I apologize in advance for asking you. So for listeners who haven't seen Friday the 13th Part 2, which would be weird, or can't remember that part, so Vicky goes back to her cabin to slip into something a little more comfortable for what she thinks is going to be a sleepover date with Mark, and she ends up changing out of her very cute black underwear into this not so cute pair of brown ones, and then decides to spray some perfume into a very private place. So I gotta ask you, how was this scene described in the script, or do you remember how that was described in the script?
Your listeners should know I'm completely covering my face right now.
Just so what we see, she's embarrassed right now.
But I that's what everyone always asks you about, like the brown underwear. I want to know how it was described in the script. Like when you're reading it, did it say all those things, or like
was it improv?
Yeah, like how did that go down?
Oh, you think I would improv those ugly undies? Oh my God, no way. No, it was just it was described just as she freshens up.
Well, I have to ask.
She freshens up. I'm like, okay, what does she freshens up mean? And we go to do the scene, and Steve Miner said, okay, you're going to change from that lovely burgundy sweater that you have on to this ugly striped itchy thing. And you're going to take off your beautiful brown lacy undies that are your own. And here, put these ugly brown ones on. They were on sale at Walmart. I mean,
So was Steve? So we can blame Steve Miner for that.
You can blame the costume designer and Steve Miner. I even said to him, I said, my dude, Steve, brown. I said, couldn't they be pink? He said, too close to flesh. I said, red. He goes, it's a horror movie. You can't wear red undies. I'm like, well, obviously white is out of the question, but why do I have to change out of these perfectly nice ones? I was just trying to get out of having to take my own underwear off.
I don't blame you.
It's just so funny that like she decided, like I would actually think they should have had you start in the brown and change into the black.
Yeah. But you know what? In late 70s, mid 70s to late 70s, early 80s, satin was in. Like if you went to a disco, you're wearing tight satin jeans, So satin of any type was in. And I guess that was the only colors they could find in a pinch. And I don't think I ever told anybody this. The perfume that I spray on, that wasn't my idea. That was Steve Miner's idea. My New York accent is coming out. I
love that. Because it's so funny. Like, you spray it in a very private place, which we're not questioning because you're about to have a date. But I had a feeling it was innocent, but I was like, I bet the director asked her to do that.
You know it, man. You know it.
And was the line, Terry, you turkey, was that improvised?
Oh, Terry, you turkey?
Yeah. I love it. I say it all the time.
That was not improvised, but the scene on the beach, because I couldn't swim, so I couldn't go into the water with everybody else. And Steve Miner's like, what do you mean you don't swim? I said, we're up in the Bronx. We don't have pools. Okay. The closest beach is Orchard Beach, and it's got jellyfish and rats. Sorry. And so I got to stay on the sand with everybody. And when he tells the joke, like, I forgot how the joke goes, but Stu Charno tells the joke.
What's brown and sits on a piano?
Yeah. I said, your face.
That is, by the way, we laugh at that because so we watch movies now with subtitles to catch all these little intricacies. And I didn't even know what the joke was. For listeners, Stu says, what's brown and sits on a piano? And the answer is Beethoven's Last Movement, which is gross and funny. But Laura Marie Taylor yells, your face.
Your face.
And it's really
totally
funny.
Ad-libbed. That was ad-libbed. That was Lauren coming out.
I love
that was not
Vicky. So now moving on to your big death scene. So after going back to the main cabin to look for Mark and going up the stairs, which is funny because he's in a wheelchair. Apparently I don't know how he got up the steps, but
I asked Steve Miner about that too. I'm like, Steve, why am I going up the steps to look for a dude in a wheelchair? He goes, Lauren, it's in the script. Just do it.
Just do it. Put on that brown underwear, Lauren, and do it.
Actually, I think the sweater is totally cute and preppy.
It is. Of course, Kim would say that. So anyway, so Saka Jason pops up from under the sheets, which, by the way, as a kid, that used to scare me the most in this movie. Yeah. It's a great shot. Slices your leg, and then he slowly comes at you with a butcher knife that I think he's holding upside down. I'm not sure. It almost looks like it's upside down. But so we were wondering, was that scene actually scary to film? And when you watch that back, are you ever like thinking, Vicky, just run out the door?
Of course. Oh, yeah. But, here's the thing. The door is closes behind me. So I figured, because I was like, why isn't she running? This is just such a drag. I mean, I know it changes everything. But why isn't she running away? And I figured out that if she had turned her back, then she would have gotten stabbed in the back.
Yeah.
I think Vicky, by backing up, thought maybe she could reason with him, by looking cute and begging and going, oh. But then you got Bill Randolph hanging, by the sheets with all the blood coming out and bumping into a corpse is just shocking. Yeah. So I think it was a mixture of shock, hoping that begging for her life would help, and not wanting to turn her back on this dude, because then you're getting stabbed in the back.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're getting so much information at once. Like, there's a killer in front of you. Your friend is dead behind you. You just got your
Where is Mark in the wheelchair?
Right. You just put on fresh clothes.
You just put on perfume clothes, and this guy is ruining everything.
Like, I'm someone that runs constantly, but I think in this particular situation I would have froze.
Yeah, frozen in fear. We figured. It's just so heartbreaking because the door's right there.
I know.
Yeah.
And after the film was finished, was there any sort of big premiere or red carpet or any kind of screening for cast and crew?
If there was, I didn't know about it.
Oh. So when did you first see it then? Like on a big screen?
I'm trying to remember. I feel like I went with my brother to see it.
Did Ali join you?
Yeah.
No, she was in LA by that time.
So you think, so you didn't get to see it with like the cast or the director or anything? That's unfortunate.
No, everybody just kind of, they all went their separate ways. The people who were from the West Coast went back to the West Coast. Bill and I are in New York. We stayed in New York. Warrington Gillette was from Florida. So I think he went to Florida. Did something with Warrington Gillette. We went on sort of like a pseudo date, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't to see the movie. I don't remember. Isn't that weird? I just remember renting it out from Blockbuster.
I think this is the time when social media would have really come into play. Like, all of everyone in the cast could have been like, hey everyone, let's go see the movie tonight. No, that is unfortunate, because we kind of figured maybe there wasn't like red carpet type of premiere, but thought there'd be some sort of premiere or something, and maybe I
mean, if they did, I didn't know about it. I mean, if Amy didn't go to something, then there was definitely nothing. None of the movies that I did had a premiere type of thing. I mean, even Neighbors, I got it late because I had moved and the mail had been forwarded. An invitation to a screening for Neighbors came, but it came like the day after it happened, and I just went,
Oh, that would have been so much fun.
And that happened now without social media or email. Sorry, without even email.
Right.
Can you imagine waiting for things to get forwarded? I think it takes weeks.
And even a phone call, like if you didn't have a machine, you didn't get it.
Yeah.
Right. And if when you moved back then, your number changed also, because I was living in a studio. Where was I living? I don't remember. I was living in some studio apartment, and then I moved to a bigger place in Brooklyn. And then I moved again. So it was just like within a span of 2 years, I've moved 3 times,
Wow.
So yeah, I missed a bunch of that. Now, The Loving Thing, I did go to a premiere for that. That was the Gracie Mansion in New York City. That was really cool.
Wow.
But no, none of the movies. In fact, the movie that I have coming out at the end of May, that was at Sundance. And the star and the director went to that red carpet.
We're going to be asking you about that. Don't you worry. We just want to get through. I want to get through Girls Night Out, because the following year you starred in the college slasher Girls Night Out as Sheila, one of the girls taking part in that all-night scavenger hunt. But unfortunately, a killer dressed in the school mascot's bear costume is knocking off the girls one by one. So how did you get involved with this film?
That was another one of those. They actually called my manager or my agent. Back then, you had a manager, and then the manager worked with different agencies. Who would get the calls. So they got approached about it, and it was after I did Neighbors. So I had already had a little bit of a track record. Again, I'd done hundreds of commercials, so everybody kind of knew who I was. So they asked, "Oh, does Lauren Marie, want to do this? We'd like to, bring her in and have her read with a couple of people." So it was kind of like I already had the role. They were just seeing who I would read well with. It was the weirdest audition, because it wasn't like a traditional audition. It was like, well, here's the script, and here you go, and
so you kind of just had the role. They were like, you're going to play this part. Then.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was mine to lose. Like, if there was no chemistry with anybody, then I'd be like, let's find somebody else.
So they're like, let's get Hal Holbrook's son. Was he like an actor, or was that like his first move? Or I don't know. I just didn't know his son was an actor. But
my husband, John, who was in it with me, he knew the story because he was always hanging out with the guys. And I'm going to say this with a disclaimer because I don't know if it's true or not. But they contacted Hal Holbrook to be in the movie, because they really wanted him to be in the movie, this producing team. And he said, all right, I'll do it, but you have to have a part for my son.
Oh.
I would do that.
I mean, hey, I would do that too if I wanted to get my son or something into it. Yeah.
And we read that the film was shot on 3 days on a campus, but was it shot more days or just on did you only have access to the campus for 3 days?
Okay, so the basketball scenes, those were done in a high school, I believe, in one of the Oranges, I think in East Orange, New Jersey. So the daytime scenes, those were shot there. Then the other ones were over in Dobbs Ferry on the grounds of Mercy College. Pretty sure it's on the grounds of Mercy College. And that's where we filmed all those night scenes, and we just banged those out. And then the house where the big party was, the crazy reveling party, with the famous shot of everybody saying cheese. That was done in a house that was eventually bought by a woman and one of the guys who played my brother on Loving.
Oh, so my God.
James Kyberd and Susan Keith, they were on Loving. James Kyberd played one of my brothers along with Bryan Cranston on Loving. They met on set and they got married. They bought that house.
That's so crazy.
She came into one day during one of our days on Loving, and she goes, they filmed a movie at my house long before we purchased it. And I think you were in that movie. And I said, you bought that gorgeous house in Dobbs Ferry? And she said, yes. I said, it was. And we filmed that in that house. So that was kind of one of those weird full circle moments.
Wow. And so then it wasn't just a 3-day shoot, because we had read it was only 3 days. And I was like, how could that be for a feature film? So you're saying just the college parts for 3 days, but those like the basketball and the house scene were separate days of shoot.
Yeah, those are all separate days. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, so I think the coolest thing that we heard about your experience on this movie is that you met your husband, John Didrichsen, while filming Girls Night Out, since he played the nerdy character Bostwick. So I know you've probably told the story a million times, but we'd love to know like how it all went down, like who approached who first, how quickly you started dating. And I just happened to be joined by Lauren's husband, John, who can tell us that story.
He tells it better.
Well, first I got to thank Gilbert Gottfried.
What? Why?
Because he auditioned for the same part I did in the movie that we met in.
You could have been married to Gilbert Gottfried.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding.
Gilbert Gottfried. But no, thankfully he did not get the role. I did. So, and that's a kind of a cool thing, because I really like Gilbert Gottfried. I think he was incredibly funny. I was sad when he died. So anyway, I was at a commercial audition, and I'm just sitting there, and I had a girlfriend. I was happy. It was crazy. I was an insane young kid, But in walks this girl with a little child, and it turned out she was babysitting this little girl, and she took her with her to the audition for this commercial. And as soon as I saw her, I was just, my mouth, it was like I just saw the Grand Canyon. I was just like, oh my God. And I felt like I loved her right then. I really did. I mean, it's like,
Oh,
who is this person, this nurturing person? Because when you're an actor in New York, you meet a lot of women, but they're so involved in their careers, and they might be pretty, but there's something about them inside that's this darkness, this kind of selfishness. And I don't blame them. You're trying to get ahead and everything. And Lauren just had this light, and she didn't have that look about her, and her eyes were alive, and I just thought, oh my God, I hope I see her again. And then I got the job, and there at the first day of reading the film around the table, there she was again, and I knew it was her. It's been a couple months, but I was like, there she is. Oh my God, it's her. It's the one. It's the one. And so I just had to, now it was just a matter of positioning myself, trying to find a way to get her attention. And I guess it was on one of the first nights we were at a really nice school in Dobbs Ferry, New York, a private school. That's where we filmed a lot of those scenes that you see in the movie. And of course, you're a young actor and you don't have any money, and all of a sudden there's free food.
We were at this big banquet table.
Oh my God, so I just piled it as high as I could.
Huge amount of food.
Yeah, because it was free, and it was.
you're like, this is going to be my meal for the next 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. And I sat down right across from her. I saw her, and she was sitting there. Nobody was talking to her yet. And I sat right across from her, and she looked at my plate, and she said, "Oh my God, are you really going to eat all that?" And I said, "Yep." And really, that was kind of the beginning. I think she looked at me and she laughed, and maybe she saw that I felt something for her. A couple nights later, we were going back in the van to the city, and she put her head on my shoulder, and I put my arm around her, and I thought, I have to take care of this person for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's
Honey.
beautiful.
Wow.
That is such a great
Aw.
story. Wait,
Lauren.
Lauren, so what was your first impression other than that he was a hearty eater?
Was it his amazing wardrobe in the film?
Yeah, what was it? Yeah, what were your first thoughts? Like, okay, this guy's sitting at my table with a lot of food. Yeah.
I'm like, this guy's stalking me. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was so funny because you meet so many people, and I knew so many people, and people are trying to get each other's attention. And I don't know why I was so.
She's been dating Dan Aykroyd.
Dan
Oh.
Aykroyd.
She dated
From
Dan
Neighbors?
Aykroyd. Only she's the one who told me he had web feet.
Shut
Oh,
up!
wait, I
God.
love this.
This guy.
How long were you dating Dan Aykroyd?
When we were doing Neighbors, we
Well,
we
they
just
say
started
this is no
hanging
pun
out.
intended, but when you film a movie, it is like summer camp. And I know you did a summer camp movie, but I get it.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's like summer camp. So I sat across from this guy, and I was busy because I was in a lot of these cheerleading scenes, and we never really had a scene together. There's one scene where we're in the same space. He's oogling a girl that's half naked, and I'm flirting with Hal Holbrook's son's character. Oh no, it was Jimmy Carroll's character. Anyway, so when he sat down across from me with all that food, I'm just like, the heck, this skinny guy's gonna really eat all that food. Well, he looks up at me with a mouthful of food, and just like John said, he went, those blue eyes. And I just was like, I've never seen such blue eyes in my life. And I was just my heart skipped a beat. I was completely smitten. Yeah.
Oh, that is so it's so sweet that that's why I love this story and hearing this and hearing that you guys met on the set of this, because it's like, obviously we love horror movies and we love hearing about them and all the details. But to think if either of you hadn't done that film, you wouldn't have been together. Like, that is mind blowing to me.
Yeah. And it sounds like, I'm guessing, okay, girls' night out. So it sounds like you just met yesterday. The enthusiasm is still there.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it is.
bravo to
It
you
is.
guys for, keeping it alive.
Yes. How long have you been married now? How many years?
42 years.
We just had our wedding anniversary.
Happy
Oh, well,
anniversary.
yes. Happy
Yeah.
anniversary. Happy 42
No,
years.
wait.
Glad I'm sitting down.
Yeah.
No, 41 years.
No, it's 40. Is it 41?
Yeah, 1982.
Oh, you're right. 41.
Oh my
I'm
God.
losing my mind.
Well, do you mind if we keep asking Lauren more questions about Girls Night Out, John? We really appreciate you joining us. Thank you. Seriously.
Yo, God. Hey, it was nice meeting you guys.
Yes, it was nice meeting you too. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful story. Seriously.
Loved it.
All right.
Thank you. Yep. So, I mean, to do a complete 180 now to your death scene and Girls Night Out, you know, I will say it's kind of scary because the killer in the bear costume like smashes their arm through a window, grabs you by the throat with these like claws that they've attached to the paw. What was it like filming that scene? And did you get multiple takes? Because I know, again, it was such a limited, shoot.
Well, they had complete trust. They knew that I was in Friday the 13th part 2. They knew that I understood the whole get it, do it once, get it done once, get it done right, because we have this one chance to have this happen. And I mean, we rehearsed it and we rehearsed it and we rehearsed it, because you're talking about latex and fake blood spurting out, screaming, all that stuff had to work just right. So we rehearsed it. We tried it a couple angles. They got the camera position exactly where it was, and it was like go time. And we just did that sucker in one take.
Good scene. I watched that movie for the first time. It was on. Do you remember USA Up All Night?
Of course.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So my parents went out to dinner and I stayed home by myself and I watched Girls Night Out. So that scene, I was like, oh, I know that girl from Friday the 13th. And I was like, I thought you were so sweet. So seeing you get like, it was so bloody. I was like, oh my gosh. And because it was USA Up All Night and Matt and I just watched it recently, the way the bear talks is so foul and dirty. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that as a kid.
I know it is so, and it is really like, it's so sad because you think it's the guy Benson. Like you really probably die thinking Benson is murdering you.
Benson's killing me. Yeah. I mean, it was really wild. I had forgotten how bloody that kill was. A friend of mine, Julie, she was helping me she lives out in LA. She does a lot of guest spots on Days of Our Lives. She's an actress also. And she said, Lauren, we want to put some clips of your different scenes on the website, so for people to, to see, to goof around, like fan favorite type of things. And I was like, oh, okay. So she goes, well, what's your favorite scene in Girls Night Out? I said, I don't know. I haven't seen it since it came out. And she said, wait, what? I said, I haven't seen it since it came out. She said, you have to go back and watch your own movie. If you have, this is your homework. Watch your movie and tell me your favorite scenes. And I'm like, okay. I'm watching the movie and I went, oh my God, it's so bloody.
I mean, it really is. And then we got to know what you thought. I mean, at the end of the movie, the big reveal is that, spoiler alert, Ruthania Alda's character is the killer, and she plays both Katie Kavanaugh and her dead twin brother, Dickie Kavanaugh, who she's been impersonating. What did you think of this ending, like both when you read it in the script and when you saw it on screen?
Well, it's funny because as you read it as an actor, as you read through the script to see, what your character's doing with the other relationships and all that stuff, I thought it was going to be Bostwick.
Oh.
I thought Bostwick was such an oddball that he was like a serial killer on the side, And when I read that it was Ruthania's character, I went, oh my God. So it was just a shock to me. And here's the thing, you talk about how Holbrook being in the movie, because Ruthania had been in the movie Deer Hunter, and she was in Mommy Dear. I mean, I was just
oh my God, I love Mommy Dearest. And so did you read her book about working with Faye?
No.
Oh, I recommend it.
Okay, I will. I will. Yeah, it's funny because I was just thinking about what was her name? Diana Scarwood.
Yeah.
Who played the part? Yeah,
Christina.
Yeah, Christina, darling. I was just thinking about her when I do trail running, and I thought, whatever happened to her? I don't know why. Her face came up in my head. But yeah, so I was just so thrilled that I was in a movie with Ruthania Alda. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah.
And then she is 2 parts in it. It's
oh my gosh, her voice when it changes.
Yeah.
The whole scene. I mean, remember the first time I saw this, I was alone at home under the age of 10. And I was like, I was so scared. Watching it today, a little different.
Yeah, but it's very unexpected, I'll say, especially for that. Well, we want to play just a quick little game with you where we ask you some rapid fire questions and you simply need to answer with either Friday the 13th Part 2 or Girls Night Out. Don't worry, they're not trivia questions or anything. It's just like your opinion
good.
on certain aspects. Yeah. So all you have to do is answer with Friday the 13th Part 2 or Girls Night Out. Okay.
Okay.
Which of these two films have you seen more times throughout your life?
Oh, Friday the 13th Part 2.
Which do you think is the better overall horror film?
Oh, you're going to get me in trouble.
Well, we know that you met your husband on one. So.
No, but which is the better overall horror film, in your opinion?
Girls Night Out.
Oh, okay. Which had more drama going on behind the scenes during production?
Girls Night Out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which had more behind the scenes romances?
Girls Night Out.
Well, one of them was yours. Okay, which do you think has the scarier villain?
Friday the 13th Part 2.
Which has more cast members that you still keep in touch with today?
Friday the 13th Part 2.
And then,
except for my husband.
Yeah, I know you're like, except the person I live with. And then which do you get asked about more by fans?
Oh, Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah, that's it. Well, yes, I know. We're thinking that's so funny. So, before we wrap up, we did want to ask you about a few more recent projects, one of which you hosted the Not the Final Girl podcast for a while, which we both absolutely love, and where you chat with other not so final girls and boys, but also some final girls and boys. Mm-hmm. So how did you first get started doing that, and what do you enjoy the most about doing a podcast?
Oh, it's funny. It's been on hiatus for a while now because I take care of my mother right now. It kind of came into formulation with a good friend of my daughter, Suze. And she said, you should write a book. You should do this. You should do that. She goes, you should do a podcast. You'd like to talk to people. And I was like, oh, well, what would I call it? And how do I do that? And all that stuff. So I thought about it for about a year, and I don't know how the name, not the final girl, but I'm like, I'm not the final girl. What a perfect name for the podcast. And then the logo, of course, is actually taken from a picture where Kane Hodder is standing behind me while somebody spanks me with a paddle. But I like the image of me looking surprised and giggly at the same time, fun. And then I just started, because I'm friendly with people at conventions. So it just seemed like a natural segue to have people who I'm friendly with, who I travel with, who I see at conventions, who, I go out to eat with, or we have drinks together. I was like, I'll just have those guys on, And then the later part of the last season, I wanted to do kind of like a theme type of month. And I thought, I really want to talk to a couple of these filmmakers. So I had a few filmmakers on. And then the last episode that I put on was with the guys who I did a British horror movie with. Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, well, first off, you're so easy to talk with that I'm not shocked that people want to, have conversation with you about that. And it is fun, especially, first off, we love the name. It's so perfect because people are always so obsessed with the final girl. So having a podcast called Not the Final Girl is just perfect, But I do like that you've had actual final girl on the show, and killers like Felissa Rose and stuff.
Yeah. Just gave it away, Matt. What's the most common question you get asked at a horror convention?
Oh gosh. Oh gosh, I hate to bring them back up again, but people want to know two things, and it's pretty equal. One, why didn't Vicky run? Okay, because she was perfectly in a position to run. Two, why did you change out of the black undies into those ugly brown undies?
So the questions we asked.
It's unbelievable. I do a photo op when I go to conventions. I do a photo op with a replica of the sweater, and I got the brown undies. I can barely fit into them anymore, but I got the brown undies and I wear them.
Oh my God. I know, if you come to LA, we are going to that convention and getting that photo. That is hilarious. Oh my God. We would love that photo. So now we also noticed that you have a role in the new upcoming slasher film In a Violent Nature. Now, right when we saw the trailer for this movie, it immediately reminded us of a Friday the 13th film, with this deformed killer trudging through the woods. So to see that you're going to be in it was like chef's kiss. But here's the thing. Even though as we record this interview, the film isn't quite out yet, we're actually going to be releasing this interview after the movie comes out. So is there anything you can tell us about your role in the film, or even just how you got involved?
Well, if you watch the trailer and listen to it, you'll notice there's a small voiceover at the end. That's taken from my scene. That's my voice.
Oh, we're gonna rewatch it.
Oh, now we have to rewatch it. So
yeah.
how did you get involved? Like, how did this happen?
It kind of fell into my lap. The role was originally offered to a different actress, and I don't know. I'm sure a lot of it was edited out. I can't say the word edit without an ed at the end. So because it was a very long. It was over 4 pages of almost a monologue. Like the girl interjects a "What do you mean?" or "I don't know" in between, but this page is this long. And the other actress felt like, you know what, it's a little much for me. So my agent called me one day and said, would you be interested in this? I'll send you the script. And I said, oh, okay, sure. And I read it and I was like, oh my God, this is different. I mean, it's from the killer's point of view. It's his perspective of how everything unfolds within the movie, which I'm not going to give away.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come in at the very end driving a truck, a pickup truck, which I actually did while filming the movie. So when you see me driving in the movie, there were cameras on the hood of the truck and there were cameras where the side view mirrors were on both sides. And we filmed it over just a period of a couple of days. And I had to deliver this 4-page dialogue multiple times while driving, picking it up in different areas. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. In the beginning, you asked me how I memorized all those lines. And I used the same technique that I did when I was on the soap opera. I slept with the script underneath my pillow, hoping that the words would morph into my brain.
But
anyway, so she's a mysterious woman who picks up someone at the end and takes that person. I'm not going to give it away. They'll kill me, from point A to point B. Here's the thing, though. This is what I think Friday the 13th fans are going to love. She doesn't have a name. She's just called the Woman.
Oh, so maybe Vicky survived.
Maybe Vicky survives and lives out in the middle of nowhere in the woods.
That's true. And so we noticed that you're credited as Lauren Taylor versus Lauren Marie Taylor. Is there a reason for that?
I just dropped the Marie for this one. I figured I'd be a big girl.
Yeah, no, we're like, is this to like keep
mouthful.
It in secrecy, or just so it was just like a random choice?
It was a choice, yeah. It was my choice. I said, you know what? Can you just bill me as Lauren Taylor? Drop the Marie. I just felt like, I'm playing this scraggly woman. I don't know. I guess I attached a little bit of mystery. Is it Lauren or isn't it Lauren type of thing? So it's like, well, could that be, or could that not be a survivor of some killing spree that had happened many years ago, and now she lives in the woods?
When we saw this trailer, of course, the first thing we thought was Friday the 13th. But then when we saw Lauren Taylor, that's exactly what we do. We're like, wait, Lauren Marie Taylor? And so we looked it up and saw it was you, and it was like, this has to be the perfect tie-in for Friday the 13th fans. Obviously, when you got sent the script, your agent must have figured that out, right? Like, known that this was or did they? Or was this just a random role they offered you?
No. It wasn't random. The people involved with the production are fans of the genre. So I was on their radar. And they went to someone else first, and then that didn't work out. And that's when it's like, okay, how about that one?
And hopefully you'll get to walk a red carpet, because I'm assuming there wasn't one for Girls Night Out. Is that right?
Yeah, you said there wasn't, but you said only the director of In a Violent Nature was part of the premiere, or hasn't had its premiere yet.
Okay, it premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, which was just surreal, to be at this age and to have an independent film be going to the festival. The director called me. He goes, it's not set in stone. He called me a couple of months before Sundance. He goes, it's not set in stone yet, but we're part of a group that are finalists that they'll choose from to go to Sundance. And it did get picked. And that's just so incredible. So the star and the director, Chris Nash, went to the premiere at the Sundance Film Festival as part of their midnight showing, where they show independent horror or thrillers, that type of, dark movies. And it got such a good response. There's another podcast called The Big Picture, hosted by Amanda Dobbins and Sean Fennessy. And they're just encyclopedias of moviedom. And I was listening to their review of Barbie, And then I was about to, fast forward it a little bit for commercials. And I heard him say, you know what? We're going to talk about Sundance for a little bit too. And I was like, oh, let me listen to that. The first movie out of his mouth, and pardon my French, but he said in a violent nature, he goes, this movie is fucking awesome. I almost crashed the car. I was like, what? I mean, I just completely flipped out. And he just loved how it's from the killer's point of view and how Chris Nash, the director, creates this mood and this overwhelming sense of foreboding. And he takes his time with what happens in the movie. And after listening to that review, I know why he had me play the role the way he wants me to play it. I had one idea, and I went up there with my idea, and he just pulled it way back and went, and he completely had me do a 180 on my interpretation. So that was a first also. That was kind of cool.
We are so looking forward to this movie. Yeah, we can't wait to see the movie. We can't wait to see you in it. And then, of course, we have to ask, does being in A Violent Nature mean you're up for starring for more horror films in the future, hopefully?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, one of the directors that I interviewed for the podcast mentioned off record that he would like to write in a role in a sequel to a movie that he had already done for me. And I was like, sure, I'll do it. I mean, I always say I would love to just be the crazy cat lady who lives next door, who sees everything and nobody listens to her because she's fucking crazy.
Yep. Funny enough, there's a lot of roles like that. I think we just saw Imaginary a couple months ago, and Betty Buckley returned to horror to play a role like that.
I love it. For In a Violent Nature, the audience can't see, but I look the way I do right now. My hair's kind of a mess. It's all frizzy and dried out. I have no makeup on. I mean, it's just, I wish I could find a picture of me in it, but I can't because I'm kind of
Well, we are so looking forward to it. We have one final question for you, Lauren, and that we ask this to everyone, and it's at the end of our interview, it's going to put you on the spot a little. And you've already kind of told us a few tidbits that would count as this, but what is one thing that you can tell us about your experience working on either Friday the 13th Part 2 or Girls Night Out that you've never told any other interviewer, publication, convention Q&A, or podcaster? Just one thing. It doesn't have to be like the juiciest gossip unless you want it to be. Just one thing that you've never told anyone else about your experience working on one of those two horror movies.
I have to walk softly and carry a big stick on this one. Well, don't tell my husband. But
he listens to Happy Horror Time
religiously.
He does. I actually had a crush on one of the other actors when we were filming Girls Night Out. And
which one?
James Carroll.
Oh.
And fast forward many years, he wound up being on Loving.
Oh, wait, when you were already married?
Yes, I was already married. But it was kind of weird because it was pretty obvious that there was a little bit of not full-blown canoodling or anything like that, but we were flirting hard at each other, really flirting. I mean, we didn't have any kisses or anything like that. It was it was just different. I mean, it was just more innocent, but I had my eyes on him, not on him.
Until John showed up with those blue eyes and that plate full of food.
That's right.
Then it was like, I guess what do they call it now? They call it ghosting. Then all of a sudden I'm ghosting Jimmy Carroll. But
that is so funny.
But yeah, that I can say. I mean, I've spoken off record about other dramas, but I don't like to talk about other people and their drama. But in terms of my drama, I've never said that out loud to anybody because I'm always afraid my husband's going to hear and then he's going to say, "Were you flirting with him when he was on Loving too?" I'm like, yeah.
And I look at it, that's in the past. So, and,
soap opera. You were just getting into character.
You were just getting into character method role.
That's right.
Well, actually, he was not my love interest on the soap opera. So that was a good thing.
Okay, so you were flirting.
This is a silly question, but do you still watch soaps today?
Only to see my friend Julie on Days of Our Lives. Oh, and I did do another movie late last year. It's a Christmas movie, and it is called He Sees You When You're Sleeping.
Oh, it sounds like a horror movie.
Wait, is it a horror? It's a horror movie?
It's a horror movie, and who's in it? Carolyn Williams is in it.
Oh,
If you're a horror fan.
Yes. Oh my God,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to catch up. First of all, we love Christmas horror movies, love them. So we're gonna have to check that out. So that's great. That's awesome. I think one of the biggest things that horror fans love hearing is about the stars that they've kept up with through the years, that they're still willing to do horror, that they embrace the horror. And it's so nice that you've embraced, Friday the 13th, Girls Night Out, and all this stuff, and can still look back on it with such fond memories.
Yeah, I mean, I did a short called Pretty Face, which was inserted into another movie. Yeah, so besides doing In a Violent Nature recently, and of course the big Christmas movie He Knows When You're Sleeping, I did a little short called Pretty Face, which was inserted into All Hallows Eve Trickster.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of neat. And then what Vincent DeSanti did, the director of the Never Hike Alone series, he had a bunch of alumni play voiceover newscasters for Never Hike Alone too. So my voice is mixed in with a bunch of other people in the franchise as a newscaster. So that's kind of cool.
I just read an article about Never Hike Alone too. Tom Matthews, obviously from Part 6, is in it, but apparently Larry Zerner from Part 3 is playing a part in it too. He's playing
Shelley.
Yeah, he's not playing Shelley because Shelley's dead, but
right.
But I think that's so cool. Like, it's like you guys are part of a Friday the 13th family,
Yeah, we are all doing little things. I mean, I have a fellow who's putting together one of those manga style comic books, and it's not Vicky the character is being called Maddie, but it's my likeness from Friday the 13th that he's using. So that's kind of
cool.
It's fun. I mean, with this whole resurgence and everything, I'm open to doing more work like this, because it's not like such a huge burden that you're carrying a movie or anything like that. It's just nice little role spread out here and there, and it's fun. It's fun to work with young filmmakers too, like new up and coming people, and the different styles of filmmaking that they have. Then when we did our old rickety film, with cameras this big back then, it's so cool now. It's I don't know. I think the genre is always evolving and always having fun. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's always the same," but everybody puts their own spin on these characters and bringing them to life in different ways. It's just so much fun, and it's just so exciting to be a part of it all. So yeah.
Well, we're so excited. First, we just want to thank you so much for today. This has been such an enjoyable interview, having that moment.
Such a bright light.
Yeah, you're such a bright light. Having that moment with your husband, like just seeing you smile, like you can't help but smile. I hope our listeners can hear the smile that Lauren Marie Taylor has on her face, and how sweet and like how much she is and how much she embraces this genre. We're such big fans, and we really just want to thank you for doing this with us today.
Thank you. I hope you like my my background too. Everybody
I love
should know that this room is decorated. I mean, I could turn the computer around too. It's decorated with all horror things that fans have given me, things that fans have made for me. I mean, it's I live it.
That's great.
I live it.
Well, thank you so much. We will be in touch as to when the interview's coming out. Again, thank you so much for your time. We have just had such a blast talking with you.
Yes.
Well, I hope I get to get out there and meet you guys. And if you come east, let me know, and I'll meet you guys in the city, and we can have lunch or something. That'd be fun.
Oh, that would be amazing. We would love to meet you in person. Yeah, it'd be so much fun.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you so much. We hope you enjoy your afternoon, and we will talk soon, okay?
Thanks. You too. Mwah.
Okay, take care. Bye, Lauren.
You too. Bye.
Bye, Lauren. Thanks for listening to another episode of Happy Horror Time.
If you'd like to support the podcast, please sign up to be a patron at www.patreon.com/happyhorrortime. As a patron, you get access to all our bonus content, which now includes 2 new bonus episodes every month, a monthly after show mini episode, access to our Discord community so you can chat with us directly, and the chance to review a film with us in one of our bonus episodes.
Patrons also get all our regular episodes ad-free and a day early, our monthly newsletter, the chance to vote in polls, and autographed Happy Whore Time stickers.
I'm Matt Emmert.
And I'm Tim Murdoch.
And we hope you have a happy whore time.